Good morning from yammybtv. Wishing you all well today. Sending loads of love. Hoping this Wednesday finds you in the best of health. As you can see, I'm in my Leeds United football kit. And I'm also pleased to tell you that I'm in the beautiful city of Leeds, where I haven't been since I was 11 or 12, which would be about 43 years ago. Not unless we include Armley, which isn't too far from here either. But yes, I was a fanatical Leeds fan. Cockney Whites we used to call ourselves, and I still very much am. Remember the story where I went down, bunked the train, one-way ticket, sorry, didn't have no fare back, and I was in a children's home there to phone them to come and get me, and I got grounded by that horrible place. But did I have any regrets? No, as young kids, you know, the consequences of being grounded for your first ever day out at Ellen Road, I would have gladly accepted that if it would have been put in front of me beforehand. But before all that, my first reading of today from Just for Today is Freedom from Guilt. Our addiction enslaved us. We were prisoners of our own mind and were condemned by our own guilt. Guilt is one of the most commonly encountered stumbling blocks in recovery. One of the more notorious forms of guilt is the self-loathing that results when we try to forgive ourselves but don't feel forgiven. How can we forgive ourselves so that we can actually feel it? Well, first, we remember that guilt and failure are not links in an unbreakable chain. Honestly sharing with our sponsor or with other addicts shows this to be really true. Often, the result of such a sharing is a more sensible awareness of the part we ourselves have played in our affairs. Sometimes we realize that our expectations have been too high. We increase our willingness to participate in the solutions rather than dwelling on those same old problems. Somewhere along the way, we discover who we really are. We usually find that we are neither the totally perfect nor the totally imperfect beings we have imagined ourselves to be. We need not be or live up or down to our illusions anymore. We need only to live in reality. Just for today, I am grateful for my assets and accept my liabilities. And through willingness and humility, I am free to progress in my recovery and achieve my freedom from guilt. So like I said, I'm in the beautiful city of Leeds United. Pleased to tell you so. Got my shorts, got everything on, my socks, even the cup, like I showed you there, my Leeds cup. And it brings back a lot of memories, even though it was so far ago. Like I said to you, one of them, you know, the consequences of running away from that children's home, I was pretty pleased with. Another time I went, which I won't share with you, which was more of a sad occasion as well. But to be back in Leeds after all these years, and you know, many ask me, Yam, why do you support Leeds? You're a Cockney, blah, 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 blah. But in those early days at school, you think about Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, you know, everybody going through the glory days of such eras, and some continue to have great eras. Ourselves, Leeds United, were one of the greatest sides, English sides, to have ever embraced or played in the English divisions. From probably when I was born in '66 all the way to the middle '70s, we were one of the most feared teams in Europe. I can remember, I think our first ever cup final was '65. We lost to Liverpool. 1970, we lost to Chelsea. In 1972, we beat Arsenal 1-0. Alan Clark won it, the only time we've lifted the FA Cup. And then we lost to the great shock of like the Wimbledon-Liverpool game, if you get what I like. Well, Sunderland were probably it was probably more of a shock when Ian Portfield scored the winner from a corner after us dominating the whole game, really. You remember the old one with Peter Lorimer, Trevor Cherry, that we thought about brilliant, but probably the best cup final save of all time. Jim Montgomery pushed Lorimer's shot, and he was my favourite player. And number 7 he was. and he was my hero at school. We all used to practice the hardest shot. But there was another contender at that time as well. Well, he came slightly after Jimmy Case, and they used to have these miles per hour shots about who had the hardest shot in football. But Peter Lorimer was the first of its kind, I think, anyway, and renowned for that hard shot, and I loved him, and that's who I used to think I was in the playground, and actually my lucky number 7 as well, or lucky in general number 7. But my love affair with Leeds has never ever died. From being small, the feelings you get from losing and missing chances, and all the emotions that go with it. How sad. I can remember crying in 1975 when we got to the European Cup final against Bayern Munich and were absolutely robbed. I think Peter Lorimer I think Peter Lorimer took a long shot and it hit somebody, and they said Alan Clark or Mick Jones was offside. But daylight robbery, it was a goal. I know many of us Leeds fans will remember that. That Man United game that I went to Old Trafford, probably the only time I went to Old Trafford, when I also ran away from an approved school in 1982. More on that sometime as well. And it was a night match, and Terry Connor, this was like years later after the great sides, when we were just about to sadly be relegated. And Brian Flynn scored with 5 minutes left at Old Trafford. And them days, well, I was really small, and I used to go into the crowd, and I used to like hiding away, whether we was home or away. I'd always be in my Leeds end. And Brian Flynn scored with 5 minutes left. There was absolute pandemonium. We know the rivalry between Manchester United and Leeds is almost like a Yorkshire derby. But that game sticks out in my mind because we sang it for years and years and years with the Brian Flynn goal. So it did show us how many times we won at Old Trafford. And of course, in that recent times while I was away, when Jermaine Beckford scored in the third round of the FA Cup, which I wasn't there but watched, was another famous win at Old Trafford. But no, my love for Leeds has never died, and I've been invited by my mate Fran also to go to the Manchester City game, which we won at last season in the Etihad. But it never, ever will leave me. And I feel like a little boy with my football kit on. I was just going to go for a run, actually. My first run in quite some time. That the health's coming back and the strength's coming back as well. But more on that, and I'll well, I won't actually. But I'm looking to go out. I'm spending a few days down here. I'm going to meet a few people as well, my Yorkshire lot, and I'm thinking of the Leeds Castle, which I never ever got to see when I was younger. But I'll also be making an appearance outside Elland Road. But wishing you all well today, just letting you know how I'm feeling, and I'll be back to spoil you again in a little while longer if you like. But I'll be off out soon, and sending loads of love, alright?